Stop buying massive 45-inch bench rest rigs just because you think length equals power and accuracy. Look, I get it. The traditional firearm guys and the old-school spring piston crowd will tell you that a barrel shorter than your arm cannot possibly push heavy lead with enough kinetic energy to put meat in the freezer. They think anything that fits inside a standard tactical day pack is just an overpriced toy built for punching paper at 30 yards. You think air rifles are just toys. You have never seen the absolute air hogs and slug slingers we are pulling out today. We are talking about micro carbines and folding stock beasts that hit with the sledgehammer force of a powder burner. Yet they break down small enough to slide under the seat of your truck. If you are still dragging around a 10-pound long gun through thick brush, you are living in the past. This is the new era of ultra-compact, high-pressure lead delivery. Looking at the entry level of the micro carbine world, we have the Umarex Notos. This thing is the definition of a backpack-friendly pest control rig for guys who do not want to take out a second mortgage just to shoot rats. It is incredibly light, compact, and completely changes the game for budget-tier air power. Under the hood, it features a surprisingly consistent factory-set internal regulator. This is huge because it manages the air from the relatively small onboard cylinder, preventing your velocity from dropping off a cliff after the first magazine. That means every piece of lead leaves the muzzle at the exact same speed, giving you the accuracy you need to consistently hit small targets without constantly adjusting your holdover. Now, it is not all sunshine and tight groups. Let's talk about the build quality. The chassis and stock are heavily reliant on polymer, and honestly, it feels a bit flimsy. If you drop this thing hard on a rock out in the field, you might be looking at some cracked plastic. The trigger breaks like snapping a cheap plastic spoon, and the firing sound is mouse fart quiet. It basically sounds like a muffled heavy-duty stapler hitting a piece of pine. It spits 22 caliber pellets downrange at around 700 feet per second, making it an absolute tack driver for close-range work. But listen, this is just the warm-up. This is a solid plinker, but wait until you see the absolute slug-slinging big-bore monster we have waiting for you at number 1. Now we get into the serious hunting rigs with the Brocock Pathfinder XR. This British-built compact is exactly what you want when you're trekking miles into the woods to dispatch squirrels or pest birds. Folds up incredibly small, saving space in your pack, and shoulders like an absolute dream when you finally get a target in your optics. Looking right under the barrel, it runs a high-pressure carbon fiber bottle instead of a standard aluminum air tube. This mechanism matters heavily to the shooter because carbon fiber holds an enormous volume of air at 3,000 psi while keeping the front end of the rifle ultra-light. You get a huge shot count for a micro rig without feeling like you are holding up a cinder block, making quick offhand shots much more stable. But here is the truth. Getting into this tier of overseas engineering is going to severely drain your wallet. The damage to your wallet sits around $1,700, and proprietary spare magazines cost a small fortune. If you drop one of those mags in the tall grass and lose it, you're going to feel the financial sting immediately. Highly tunable and precise, this rifle throws 22 caliber lead with absolute surgical accuracy, generating around 25 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. Squeezing the match-grade trigger breaks like snapping a thin glass rod. When the sear drops, the report is completely muffled. It just sounds like a heavy, thick book dropping onto a soft carpet. Entering the elite tier, we are looking at the Huben GK1 carbine. Honestly, this thing started life as a heavy-duty pistol, but once you drop it into an aftermarket chassis, it transforms into an absolute nightmare for small game. It is incredibly light, wildly compact, and gives you rapid-fire follow-up shots faster than you can blink. Digging into the action, it utilizes a completely hammerless balanced valve system. This matters to you because instead of a heavy metal hammer slamming forward and causing vibrations that throw off your aim, the valve opens using differential air pressure. It completely eliminates lock time and mechanical recoil, letting you keep your crosshairs glued to the target while you dump rounds as fast as you can pull the trigger. But let's be real, it is not flawless. The loading gate mechanism on that massive fixed titanium cylinder is a massive pain in the hands. You have to individually seat every single piece of lead into the cylinder by hand. And if you have fat fingers or it is freezing cold outside, the ergonomics of reloading this rig will drive you absolutely insane. Pushes 25 cal lead out with serious authority, generating up to 80 foot-pounds of energy. The damage to your wallet sets you back around 1,700 by the time you add the chassis. The trigger brake feels exactly like clicking a high-end computer mouse. Short, crisp, and instant. When it fires, the muzzle report sounds like a heavy leather whip cracking right next to your ear. Closer to the crown, we are looking at the Reximex Mito. Honestly, this rig blurs the line between a heavy-duty pistol and an ultra-compact carbine. When you snap on the included synthetic shoulder stock, it transforms from a handheld sidearm into a highly stable, backpack-friendly pest control machine that you can carry all day without feeling the weight. Digging into the mechanics, it features an easily accessible hammer spring tension dial right on the back of the action. This mechanism matters to you because it allows you to instantly fine-tune your velocity for different pellet weights without ever taking the gun apart. You can dial it down for quiet backyard plinking, or crank it up when you need maximum kinetic energy for tough small game. But let's be real, there is a serious trade-off for this level of portability because the onboard air cylinder is incredibly small. You are going to experience a major air quirk. It absolutely drains its reserve fast when you have it tuned for full power, meaning you will be constantly tethered to your fill tank if you plan on an extended hunting session. Pushes 22 caliber pellets with surprising consistency, though it will not break any massive energy records. The damage to your wallet is roughly 600, making it incredibly accessible for guys wanting to test the waters. Squeezing the trigger feels just like snapping a dry pine needle in half. Very clean and predictable. When that hammer strikes, the report sounds exactly like a heavy pneumatic staple gun driving into plywood. We have seen the absolute limits of airgun engineering on this list. We have looked at massive, big bore power. We have seen tiny budget form factors, and we have explored rapid fire capabilities. But the undisputed king of the micro carbine world brings all of that into one indestructible package. The number one spot goes to the EDgun Leshiy 2. This masterpiece of engineering gives you the incredibly fast semi-automatic follow-up shots of the Huben GK1, but with a rugged folding stock profile that completely puts the Umarex Notos to shame when it comes to field durability and pure kinetic energy. It fits into a tiny day pack, but hits like an absolute freight train when you finally get a clear lane in the woods. When you are setting this rig up, keep it traditional and mount a crisp daytime optic to keep the balance perfect and the weight down. Looking at the power delivery, it utilizes an externally adjustable micro-regulator paired with a hammerless valve. This mechanism matters heavily to the shooter because it allows you to instantly dial your pressure up or down without degassing the rifle. You can tune it perfectly for heavy projectiles in the field using just a hex key without taking the gun apart, throws 30 caliber pellets downrange with devastating force, generating well over 60 foot-pounds of energy out of a ridiculously short barrel. Squeezing the trigger feels exactly like snapping a thick frozen icicle in half. When it fires, the muzzle report sounds like a heavy rubber mallet striking a thick wooden telephone pole. Sets you back over 2,000, but if you want the absolute pinnacle of compact air power, this is it. Look, the industry has spent decades pushing massive air cylinders and long barrels as the absolute only way to get serious kinetic energy downrange. We just proved that's a complete lie. These micro platforms are completely rewriting the rulebook. They give you the ability to hike deep into the brush or maneuver inside a tight hunting blind without sacrificing 1 ounce of knockdown power. You do not need a massive bench rest pole to do real work. You just need the right engineering, heavy slugs, and a solid piece of traditional daylight glass. Keep your setup clean and reliable with a crisp daytime scope instead of chasing those battery-draining thermal gimmicks. It gets the job done every single time without ever relying on a charging cable. The gear's out there. Stop letting the old school mentality hold you back. Do the work, get the gear, own the range,